You have seen him before, even if you couldn't name what you were looking at, because he doesn't announce himself with volume, he doesn't bargain for attention, and he doesn't perform for approval the way the hungry do. He's the one in the hall where alliances are traded like currency, where envy wears a smile and praise carries a hidden blade, and while everyone else is trying to be noticed, laughing too loud, speaking too fast, proving too much, he's already chosen his position in the room, already measured the tempo, already decided what version of himself will be visible and what will remain locked behind the eyes. A hunter doesn't chase admiration, he manufactures inevitability, and the difference matters, because chasing puts you beneath the room, while inevitability bends the room around you. This isn't natural talent, and it's not some mystical aura you either have or don't have. It's constructed gravity, built the same way empires are built, quietly, deliberately, without emotional leakage, through every glance withheld when others would scramble for validation, through every step placed with intention when others drift like civilians, through every word sharpened by restraint instead of inflated by ego. Hunters understand the oldest rule in social combat. The one who needs the room loses to the one who can leave it without explanation. So the hunter learns habits that look soft to the loud world, but feel like weapons to anyone who has ever watched power move in silence. Because these are not tips, they are instruments, and instruments in the right hands can play a room like a nervous system. Habit 1. Rule through authenticity, but treat it like steel, not sentiment. A hunter doesn't confuse authenticity with oversharing, because authenticity is not emotional confession, and it is not softness dressed up as realness. It is identity forged until it stops wobbling under pressure, and a man with a stable identity cannot be bought with applause, cannot be redirected by slander, cannot be baited into proving himself to people who were never qualified to judge him. That's why the hunter doesn't ask who likes him. He asks whether his actions, posture, voice, and values align so cleanly that even strangers feel the consistency in the air, because consistency creates weight, and weight creates respect without arguments. But hunters also know the trap. Indulgence masquerading as authenticity, the modern addiction to broadcasting every emotion like it's virtue, as if being readable is the same thing as being powerful. The hunter keeps his identity solid while keeping his revelation selective. Because the lion does not bark and the king does not narrate his inner world to the crowd, he decides what is shown, when it is shown, and what stays protected. If this hits because you recognize how much energy gets wasted trying to be understood by the wrong people, hit the like button, because that signal helps the right minds find each other. Habit 2, dress like a thread in velvet, because appearance is strategy, not decoration. In every court that ever mattered, people were measured before they were heard, and the hunter doesn't pretend this is shallow, he treats it as terrain, because humans judge fast and they judge emotionally. And a controlled exterior buys you time, space, and psychological leverage before you've said a single word. So the hunter chooses simplicity that looks expensive without shouting, restraint that looks intentional, a palette that becomes recognizable, details that invite interpretation rather than beg for attention. Because flash is what insecure men use to demand notice, while precision is what sovereign men use to set tone. A hunter doesn't dress to impress the room, he dresses to haunt it afterward, so that when he leaves, the room doesn't just forget him as background noise, it remembers the feeling of being measured. But he never relies on the suit more than the spine, because style without substance is theater without war, and hunters don't cosplay power, they back every visual with presence. Habit 3, dominate with body language before words, because most men confess weakness silently. A tapping foot, a collapsing chest, eyes that dart to check reactions, hands that fidget like they're begging to be forgiven. These are not quirks, they are signals, and the room reads them the way a trader reads a chart, the way a fighter reads a shoulder twitch, the way a predator reads fear. So the hunter engineers his physicality like a weapon system, standing as if obedience is normal, sitting as if the chair was built for him, moving like a man who already won and is deciding whether to be merciful, because the body can either broadcast need or broadcast command, and need is blood in the water. The hunter learns the pause because the man who pauses owns time, and he lets others rush to fill silence. Because civilians fear empty space. They fear being misunderstood. They fear the moment where nothing is happening. But hunters understand that silence is pressure, and pressure reveals people. Habit 4. Weaponize atmosphere. Because power is often what lingers, not what speaks. The hunter doesn't laugh at the idea that scent, rhythm, tone, and timing can control memory, because he's watched how easily humans attach emotion to sensation. And he knows that what people remember is rarely what you said and often what they felt near you. So he chooses one signature: clean, restrained, not drowning, never desperate. And he uses it like a fingerprint in the subconscious, not to be sexy, but to be unforgettable. Because the room should notice your absence, and absence is leverage. He doesn't flood the air with fragrance the way insecure men flood the air with words. He uses restraint. He makes them lean in, and leaning in is submission without them realizing it. Habit 5. Master manners as control, not kindness, because civility disarms while you calculate. A hunter understands that etiquette is not servitude, it's misdirection. It's the ability to move gracefully while the other man assumes grace equals softness, and softness is exactly what gets underestimated. So he listens without nodding like a servant. He offers attention without surrendering frame. He speaks calmly while others burn energy, and he lets politeness confuse the aggressive. Because when they expect arrogance and receive elegance, they lose the script they plan to run. Civility becomes a mask that buys him time, and time is the most expensive resource in every negotiation, every relationship, every power exchange. Habit 6. Dominate through full presence, because attention is the rarest currency of the modern age. A hunter doesn't multitask his way through conversations, because divided attention is a confession that you don't have control over yourself. And if you don't control yourself, you cannot control outcomes. So when he engages like a blade, clean, direct, undistracted, and the person in front of him feels it immediately, because most people are starving to be truly seen, and being seen is seductive. But the hunter knows the deeper move. Once presence creates dependence, withdrawal creates gravity, and he doesn't withdraw with drama or punishment. He withdraws with quiet certainty, letting absence do the work that chasing never could. This is also why disciplined minds tend to find each other, even across oceans and time zones, because presence recognizes presence, and you'll see it in small corners of the world where people compare notes on different battlefields. Some refining stoic control, some building online businesses in silence, some training their bodies into tools, some learning the rhythm of Forex and crypto, some investing long-term with patience most people don't have. And what connects them isn't the niche, it's the code. Self-governance, restraint, precision, long-horizon thinking. Subscribe for more stoic content like this, because this isn't entertainment, it's training for the nervous system. Habit 7. Leverage mystery as social control, because certainty comforts and mystery compels. A hunter doesn't seek to be understood, because the desire to be understood is often the desire to be approved, and approval is a leash. He reveals fragments with intention. He answers questions without handing over the full blueprint. He smiles at rumors instead of wrestling them, because when people can't define you, they chase you, and when they chase you, you control the distance. He never explains his silence, never justifies his departure, because the unexplained exit weighs more than the loud entrance. And the mind hates unfinished stories, so it keeps returning to you, replaying you, projecting onto you, giving you power you didn't have to ask for. Habit 8. Weaponize cultural wisdom as territory, not trivia. The hunter studies other worlds not to sound smart, but to become uncornerable, because a man who knows only one environment can only dominate within it, while a man who understands many environments moves like oil through the empire of social dynamics. He knows how people greet, how they mourn, how they celebrate, what they consider honorable, what they consider insulting, and he stores it the way a strategist stores maps, because maps reduce surprise, and surprise is what kills most men. whether in negotiation, in business, in love, or in conflict. He doesn't show his knowledge to perform, he draws it only when it gives advantage. Because a hunter doesn't collect facts, he collects leverage. Habit 9, use compassion as strategic seduction. Soft weapon, sharp outcome. A hunter isn't naive about kindness, because blind compassion enslaves the giver and feeds the manipulator. But controlled compassion, timed, selective, earned, creates loyalty that outlives fear. He offers warmth that feels rare, and rarity creates value, and value creates attachment, and attachment, when managed, creates influence. He helps when it costs little and binds much. He forgives when forgiveness makes him look larger than the conflict. And he never pours himself out like a leaking vessel, because the man who leaks becomes predictable, and predictable men get used. Habit 10, use laughter to disarm and dominate, because tempo control is social control. The hunter does not laugh to blend in, because blending is surrender. He laughs to shift rhythm, to release tension when he wants the room softer, to create uncertainty when he wants the room cautious, and he watches carefully who laughs with him and why. Because laughter reveals what people fear, what they worship, what they're ashamed of. He never mocks himself so deeply that it lowers his frame, because self-deprecation in excess is an invitation for the world to step on your neck. But a controlled laugh at your own edge signals confidence so complete it doesn't need defense. Habit 11, treat self-care as warfare, because a dull instrument cannot command. Hunters don't romanticize burnout, because exhaustion makes a man emotional, and emotional men become easy to steer. So sleep is not a luxury, it's armor. Nutrition is not aesthetics, it's stability. Training is not vanity, it's presence made physical. Solitude is not loneliness, it's calibration. He protects his rituals the way a ruler protects supply lines, because supply lines decide wars long before battles start, and the hunter's supply line is energy. Habit 12, radiate sovereign independence, because need is the ugliest cologne. The hunter doesn't reject connection, he governs it, building alliances without becoming dependent, accepting praise without requiring it, receiving love without being owned by it. He walks alone when he must, not as performance, but as proof that he can't be controlled by rejection, bribed by validation, or baited by loneliness. And when he finally chooses to be close, to a partner, a team, a circle, he brings stability, not hunger, because stability is rare, and rare things pull people like gravity. By the time a man lives these habits with consistency, he stops influencing rooms the way motivational speakers imagine, and starts shaping reality quietly the way strategists always have. Because gravity doesn't shout, it simply pulls. And the people who don't understand why they're orbiting you will call it charisma. But you'll know the truth. It's engineering, it's restraint, it's identity, it's posture, it's silence, it's timing, it's the refusal to leak. If you see yourself building this kind of silent dominance, where you don't beg the room to notice you, the room adjusts around you, comment, "I'm Hunter," because the men who live by this code recognize each other without needing introductions.